YouTube to open.
Share yours.
Okay. Stephen is going to join us too.
Oh, who's going to join us? Wait a minute. 1 second. I have to get back to Zoom. There. Got it right. Okay, lovely. Lovely, lovely. Oh, hello. Haven't seen you for ages. How are you doing?
Good, good.
That's grand. That's wonderful.
Cold up here.
Okay, so let's just begin. And I expect everybody else will join us as they come. So we start off with our prayer. I need to share my screen. That's it. Share my screen. Okay. Now, here's the prayer. Wait a minute, can you see it? Yeah. Okay. ריבון עולמים ואדוני אדונים, אב הרחמן והסליחות, מודים אנחנו לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ולאבותינו, בקידה ובהשתחוויה, שקרבתנו לתורתך ולעבודתך עבודת הקודש. ונתת לנו חלק בסודות תורתך הקדושה, מה אנו ומה חיינו, אשר עשית עמנו חסד גדול כזה. על כן אנחנו מפילים תחנוננו לפניך, שתמחול ותסלח לכל חטאותינו ועוונותינו, ואל יהיו עוונותינו מבדילים בינינו לביניך, וכן יהיו רצון מלפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ולאבותינו, שתכונן את לבבינו ליראתך ולבדך, ותקשיב אוזניך לדברינו אלה, ותפתח לבבינו הערל בסודות תורתך, ויהיה לימודנו זה נחת רוח לפני כיסא כבודך כרך ניחוח, תאציל עלינו, אור מקור נשמתנו, בכל בחינתנו, שיתנוצצו ניצוצות עבודך הקדושים, אשר על ידם גלית דבריך אלה בעולם, וזכותם, וזכות אבותם, וזכות תורתם ותמימותם וקדושתם, למוד לנו לבן לקשר בדברים אלו, ובזכותם תראיננו במה שאנו לומדים, כמאמר נעים זמירות ישראל, גל עיניי והביט הנפלאות מתורתך, כי אדוני תן חוכמה מפיו דעת ותבונה. Sorry, יהיו רצונים מפי, וגאון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגורלי. כן יהי רצון. Okay. Now then, Vayigash. Let's start off with, we're going to start off today with no, not that. I want to find.
It wasn't there when you booked it.
Here. Okay. I want to start off with the actual event, all right, how it's written in the Torah. As you know, Joseph has set up this whole situation, okay, by telling his steward to go and hide his special silver cup in Binyamin's bag. And so the brothers have left the city and they've not gone too far. And they're overtaken by the steward. And he says, who's stolen my master's silver cup? And they protest. And of course, when they search the bags, lo and behold, it's in the bag of Binyamin's. Okay. So he said, well, you know, you all can go free, just the one in whom the sack, the cup was found needs to come back. But no, they all come back together. All right. And when they arrive with Joseph, back to Joseph's house, he's still there, not surprisingly, since he set the whole thing up. They fall before him onto the ground. And he says to them, Mama, what's this deed that you've done? Only don't you know that I'm a man that, you know, I can divine things. And Judah takes the lead and he says, what can we say to my master? What can we speak? How can we justify ourselves? God has found out the iniquity of your servants. Hinenu avadim ladoni. We are all bondmen to my master. Gam anachnu gam asher nimtza gavir biyado. In other words, making it very clear they're not going to leave Binyamin to his fate. All right. Vayomer chalila li masot zeh. He said, no, far be it for me to do such a thing. Ha'ish asher nimtza gavir biyado hu yeli eved vatem alu l'shalom al avichem. He says, no, the one in whose hand the cup was found, he will be for me for a servant, and you go up in peace to your father. So that's the situation, okay? Vigash elav Yudah, and Yudah drew near to him. So it's already, there's a question. What does it mean, Vayigash elav Yudah? Why did Yudah draw near? Why doesn't it just say he spoke to him? Okay? We look first and see the pshat, and then we'll look and go into detail in the inner meanings according to the Zohar. And he said, please, my master, let your servant speak something in the words, in the ears of my master. And don't let your anger burn against your master, against your servant, kamocha kefaro, because you are like Pharaoh. Now, the Zohar teaches us Vayigash elav Yudah is not a simple thing. Yudah here is representing Malchut, okay? And the characteristic of Malchut is prayer. Yosef is Geula. Yosef is Zerampin, in fact, he's the higher level. Yosef is the higher level. So if you can compare them, Yosef is like HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Yehuda is the Shekhinah. V'yigash elav Yudah is like to join these two elements together, that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Shekhinah are coming towards each other. And this is what Yehuda is wanting to achieve here. Vayomer bi Adoni, and he says, please, my master. But if you look at those words, bi Adoni, everything depends on me. All right. Why does it depend on Yehuda? Because the relationship between Yehuda and Yosef, which is what this whole thing is about, is actually the relationship between the light and the vessel. Yehuda is the vessel, okay? He has the quality of prayer. Yosef is the quality of deliverance, of Geula. He's the quality of light. He's the quality of the goodness, of the flow, okay? And so Yehuda says, Bi Adoni, everything depends on me, because the light can only come into the vessel when the vessel is ready, okay? Yidaberna aftecha davar boznei Adoni. Let your servant speak now something in the ears of my master. Va'al yicha apcha bavadecha. Don't let your anger burn against your servant. What is Yidaberna aftecha? Rav Gottlieb explained that na, the gematria of na is 51. Okay, Nun and Aleph is 51. And then if you count in the fact that it's a word, you get 52. All right. I'm not good at gematria, so I just have to believe him. Okay. And that is twice Yud Hey Vav Hey. Okay. Twice Yud Hey Vav Hey is 52. Okay. And that is the Partsuf Ban, which is the Partsuf which belongs to the Malchut. So here you've got a hint in the text that here we're talking at the Sfira of the Malchut. All right. Now, Davar, what is happening here? Davar also belongs to the Malchut. The Malchut of the Din, Malchut of Midat HaDin. But what does Yehuda want to do? He's seeing the situation as a judgment, okay? Dinim. And he understands why they were cruel to their brother. They sold him into Egypt, okay? They did a sin, all right? So there's dinim. And what's the din? That Binyamin, he's become a guarantor for Binyamin. And Binyamin is being now made to be a servant and not allowed to go back to his father. So it's a situation of judgment. But he wants to bring it into Oznei Adoni, the ears of his master. What is the ears? The ears is Bina, okay? The Sphira of Bina. What is Bina? Compassion. He wants to bring this whole situation into the Midat HaRachamim, okay? Bring it into compassion. All right, so we've got a situation of din, and Yehuda, who's the Malchut, who's the one who's able to govern, wants to bring it into an aspect of compassion. Va'al yicha apcha bavdecha, ki kamocha kaparo. And what does it mean, al yicha apcha? Af is the Bechina Gimel, is Tiferet, okay? And it's got a lot of light there. And so therefore, it's a situation where you've got Charon Af, when you can have a lot of light. And if the light comes in a way which is not balanced, that's a cause of din. So he says, I don't want the situation of din here. I want to bring it into a situation of compassion. All right. Ki kamocha kaparo. Kamocha, again, is hinting at din, because the gematria of kamocha is 86. We've got kaf is 20, mem is 40, it's 60, vav is 6, and another kaf is 20. So you've got there 86, and what's the gematria of Elohim? 86. And Elohim is also the aspect of judgment. So he says, look, I can see we're in the situation of judgment, but I want to bring it into Oznei Adoni. I want to bring it into an aspect of compassion. I want to balance this thing through. Kamocha kaparo, you can say, you know, on the one hand, you know, on the pshat, you're like Pharaoh, you know, you've got the same sort of power as Pharaoh has. But Pharaoh, the word Pharaoh is actually relates to the word pri'ah, revelation, okay? To reveal the light, okay? Like, for example, when in the issue of the Sotah, lifroa et rosha, he takes off the kisoi rosh in order to reveal the hair, okay? So there's also aspect of judgment there, but it's also aspect, he's saying, kamocha kafaro, you've got the light, okay? There's a revelation there. Adoni sha'al et avadav lemor, ha'yesh lachem av or ach. Now here again, we have to really look at the code, okay? My master asked his servant saying, have you got a brother, a father? Have you got a brother? Now, in the Kabbalah, the Av relates to a higher level, okay, than the one they were at. Or have you got an Ach? An Ach is a brother, is a level which is the same as yours, okay? All right. All right. ונאמר אל אדוני, יש לנו אב זקן וילד זקונים קטן, ואחיו מת, ויבטאו לבדו לאמו ואביו אהבו. And he said to my master, yes, we've got an elderly father. Zaken, okay, not just means elderly, also means there's got the bechina of wisdom. He's got chokhmah, the order chokhmah. He's got the wisdom. V'yeled zkunim katan, child of his old age. V'achiv met, his brother is dead. V'yivateu levado le'imo, and he alone is left to his mother. V'aviv ahevon, his father loves him. The Holy Ari, commenting on this whole piece, says that Yosef is the Bechina of Yesod, but so is Binyamin. Binyamin is also Yesod, but they're two different aspects of the Yesod, okay? So in every spiritual entity, you've got the vessel and you've got the light, all right? Now, Binyamin constitutes the vessel for Yesod. He's got the Or Choseh, the returned light, which is the vessel for Yesod, whereas Yosef is the light of Yesod. So what's he telling us here? He's telling you, yes, there is a higher level, which is Yaakov, okay? And Yaakov is the higher level of Tiferet. He's more like Bina, all right? What is left, and Achiv, that's Yosef, the light has left the father, okay? Because the light of Yesod has gone. That's Yosef. Vivateu levado, and only the vessel for the light for Yesod is left to Yaakov. Okay. V'aviv ahevo, and his father loves him. Yes, of course he loves him, because at least there's some. It's not. Yaakov needs to express himself through the Yesod to be able to give to the Malchut, to be able to give to the tribes. Now he can't. This is why the light has left Yaakov all this time when Yosef is not present, because the channel through which Yaakov can give the light to the tribes is missing. But at least he's got Binyamin, which is like half. It's got something. All right. All right. And you said to your servants, bring him down to me, love, and I'll place my eyes on him. Why does Yosef want Binyamin? I mean, this whole discussion between Yosef and Yedidah is over Binyamin. Yedidah says, let me take Binyamin home to his father. I'll stay here instead. If Yosef just wanted a servant, could have Yedidah. On the contrary, Yehudah's the Melech, Yehudah's the king of the brothers. It would be better, wouldn't it? But Yosef's not agreeing. He says, no, I want Binyamin. Why does he want Binyamin? Because Yosef needs his other half in order to bring the light through properly. So he wants the other half of Yesod. Okay, so Yosef is the light of the Yesod, and Binyamin is the vessel for Yesod. Without the vessel, he can't really, be who he needs to be. And we told my master, no, he can't leave his father, because since Yosef is no longer there, which is the part of Yesod he needs. Nevertheless, even though the light he can get through Binyamin is much smaller, nevertheless, he can. What is Aviv? Another way to look at Aviv is also HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's like God, okay? V'aviv v'met. What does it mean God will be dead? How can you say God will be dead? How can you say Tiferet will be dead? All right? What it means is if the vessel is not there to be able to express himself to and to give of himself to the created beings, it's as if the created beings don't see God and they feel he's dead. Like, for example, in the Holocaust, people said, where's God? God is dead. Okay, why did they say that? Because there was no pity, there was no love, there was no compassion, there was no nothing. It felt as if God was dead. Of course, God was not dead, but if there was no vessels, then it feels like there is no relationship. All right? And that's what it's saying here. ותאמר לאבותיך, אם לא ירד אחיכם הקטון איתכם, לא תוסיפו נראות פניי. If you don't bring your little brother with you, you cannot continue to see my face. Why? Because I need Binyamin in order to shine my light, for you to get the light. Okay? It's all a code going on here. And so we went back to Alinu, we went up, to my father. Okay? We went up a level to my father. We spoke these words to my master. And our father said, go again and buy us a little food. And really there's a question here. And the question is, why was there food in Egypt and there was no food in Israel? All right? Surely, Eretz Zavat Chalav Udvash, why was there no food in Israel? And the answer is the food that we're talking about is the Order Chochmah, the great light of God. We have this idea that there is a dearth of the light of God in Eretz Israel several times in the scripture, in the Torah. We've had this when Avram arrives in the land, and he's hardly been there 5 minutes, and there's a ra'av, v'haya ra'av ba'aretz, and Abraham decides to go down to Egypt. Now, what does this mean? The Zohar explains there that the famine that was in the land was a famine for the Order Chochmah. Now, why is there famine for the Order Chochmah? Because Abraham is only the vessels of giving. And in order to bring the Order Chochmah, you actually do have to have vessels of receiving. So where's he going to get them from? So actually he has to get them from the people who are wicked. It's a relationship which there actually exists between the righteous and the wicked. Since the righteous are only interested in giving, the presence of the wicked is actually necessary for them in order for them to obtain the vessels of receiving that they will then be able to bring into Kedusha, and with that they're able to receive the great light of God for the sake of giving. And that way they can actually do their work. So this is an idea which Rav Ashlag brings in several places. And you can see it, for example, in the story of Mordechai and Haman. All right, that Mordechai was quite happy to be Ish Yehudi, okay, giving for the sake of giving. All right, so what does God do? Vayigdal Haman, at Haman, he raises up Haman. Why? To force Mordechai to get the vessels of receiving that he needs through the story of Purim in order to bring a deliverance. Okay, why did that have to happen at that point? It was because it was the time of Purim and the time for the rebuilding of the temple. So here we go back to where we are here, back in the time of Yosef and Yaakov. He says we need to go to Egypt. Why do we need to go to Egypt? Because there we're going to be able to get ochel. We're going to be able to get the food that we actually here refers to the Order Chochmah. And in fact, we see that when the children of Israel eventually came out of Egypt, God said to you to go and take the kalim, borrow the kalim, the vessels of the Egyptians, the gold and the silver, whatever, to bring that up with you in order to bring the vessels with from the Egyptians to bring those into Kedusha, which we need to receive the light of God, which they received on Mount Sinai, on Mount Sinai. But and he said, no, we can't go down to Egypt unless our little brother is with us. Because we cannot see Pnei Ha'ish. Okay? We can't receive the light, Pnei, the light, and Ish can also refer to God. Okay? We can't see the face of God. We can't see because we need the vessels that he has. And my servant, your servant, my father, said to us, Atem yadatim ki shnaim yalda li ishti. Rachel was the Merkava for the Shekhinah, okay? All right, and she bore 2 sons. I don't know what's happened to him. One is the aspect of the light of the Yesod. I have no idea what's happened. I've not seen him again, not received his light until now. And you're going to take also what's left, which is at least the vessel of the Yesod, the Kara son. Supposing something happens to that, then I've got no more light I can give out. I've got no way to give it. Then as far as the tribes are concerned, then it's as if I'm dying because I have no way to give out the light. There's no vessels. So when I come to your servant, my father, and the lad is not with us, and his soul is bound up with him, and you'll come to see that the child is not there, there's been no connection. And you're going to bring down the gray hair of your servant, our father, in sorrow to the grave. And then comes it, because I became surety for him. Now, Yehuda, when he said to his father, it was right up here somewhere. No, it was in the previous chapter. I'm not going to find it now. Okay, I will stand surety for him. You search from my hand. What is this arevut that Yehuda did with Binyamin? You know, the arevut is a very serious issue. The arevut, the guarantorship, is that the one who's guaranteeing stands in the place of the other guy. All right, Kol Yisrael arevim zeh lezeh. That we stand in the place of each one. We're all responsible for each other. So Yehuda, it's like the essence of Yehuda has become mixed with the essence of Binyamin. And he says, listen, ani arevet now. This changes everything, by the way. Because it means that I'm so connected with Binyamin that if you get me, you're getting Binyamin. All right? For example, if you count up the number of tribes that we actually have, we say the 12 tribes of Israel. But if you actually count them up on your fingers, you actually end up with 13. All right? So why do we say 12? There's 2 reasons. There were 12 tribes who actually inherited the land because the Leviim did not inherit the land. But the other reason is that Yehuda and Binyamin now count as one tribe because of the arevut, because of the guarantorship that Yehuda did with Binyamin. Okay? So this is the reason why he says, I'm just as good. I can be here, be your servant instead of the lad. I can serve you. In other words, I can provide you with the vessels that you need. Because what's the issue of the Malchut? Malchut is also a vessel. Okay? Malchut is also a vessel, and it is the vessel for the Yesod. So he says to him, listen, Yehuda, listen, instead of you using Binyamin as your vessel, which I understand you want because Yesod, Yosef and Binyamin belong to the same sphere. You can actually do a zivug. You actually bring the light into the vessel in a different way, using me, using Yehuda. Yehuda is the Malchut, and you can certainly have the zivug between Yesod and the Malchut. In fact, probably it's a stronger thing, because from there the light can come down to the tribes, to all the souls. Okay. All right. So this is the situation. This is the whole discussion between Yaakov and Yosef. V'anaya alimechav, and let the lad go up with his brothers. Ki ech eleh avi v'anai nenu iti penei bara she'ibsait avi. So then we get the idea. How can I go up to God? How can I to my father? V'ana inenu iti penei bara she'ibsait avi. This, and he's telling Yosef, what my solution is a better solution. All right, don't leave Binyamin with you. My solution is a better solution, which is that the zivug, the relationship between Yehuda and Yosef and Yehuda is actually a stronger relationship than that between Yosef and Binyamin. Okay, so what happens? So the moment this is, Yehuda makes this really clear, Yosef cannot refrain and he has to reveal himself. In other words, Yehuda has done the work he needs to do. He's made the vessel for the light through Mesirus Nefesh, through his self-sacrifice, okay, through his arivut with Binyamin, okay, and through his willing to sacrifice himself, okay, willing to give. And now he has to reveal himself to the brothers. Okay. Now then, let's go to the Zohar. Any questions, comments, thoughts? I've lost the thing how to switch this back into.
Yedidah?
Yeah.
Yedidah.
Yeah. Oh,
How
you
is
share screen all that time?
what?
You guys couldn't see the shared screen?
No.
No, I wrote a chat when I came on, but I was late.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I mean, you should have said. I would have.
But I don't know. I wrote in the chat. I didn't want to disturb your thing. I thought you'd see
so
the
sorry.
chat.
Yeah. No, I didn't see it. I'm sorry. I didn't see the chat. You know, when I thought the screen was shared. Oh, I apologize. Okay, never mind. Well, you got an audio version anyhow.
We thought it was technical difficulties.
Oh, I see. No, I didn't see the chat. It didn't come on. All I could see was the text. Oh dear. All right, never mind. Okay. Well, I mean, I was just reading from the text anyhow. Now, where were we? Oh yeah, we're going to do Zohar, right? Okay, so now we're going to look at some of those ideas in the Zohar. Now, don't let me get this wrong again now. Share screen. Right. Share. Oh yeah, it didn't have any of that before. I wondered why I couldn't see anything. Oh well. Okay, now then, the piece is in a very long piece. This is in Tet. We'll just read the Zohar and then go straight into the bit of commentary we're looking at. Okay, so the Zohar at the top is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and then underneath is Rabbi Ashlag. Oh, by the way, everything I said before, came from a shiur of Rabbi Gottlieb. Okay, so I listened to it a couple of times and translated it. So it came from Rabbi Gottlieb. Atar Shem Avinu, daha ant kayemet alan tadi levircha, lashkachak ilan, ka'aba dishkach al banim, b'kol ma titzorech lon, go'aleinu me'olam shemecha, daha antu go'el, דחקי יתקראי המלאך הגואל, ודע גואלנו מעולם שמך, שמך ודאי. תנינן, אין מפסיקין בין גאולה לתפילה. We don't stop between גאולה and תפילה. כמה דלא מפסיקין בין תפילה של יד לתפילה של ראש, דבאי למחזה דכולו אחד והוא וכמוה. Now we're not going to learn all this. We're just going to pick it up from the bit which is what we really want. Likewise, the Yesod of Zerampin, which is called Yosef, Nikra Goel, he's called a redeemer, Klaper Nukva, for the Shekhinah. Okay? Because he brings the light. Because he brings the light, this light of the illumination of Chokhmah. This is the real reason that the rule is in the halakha that when you finish the brachot after the Shema and you get to Ga'al Yisrael, you straight away begin with the Amidah. You don't make a break, okay? Because you don't stop between Geula and Tefillah. Why? To emphasize the connection between HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is Yosef, and the Malchut, which is the Shekhinah, which is the Malchut. Okay, between Yosef and Yehuda. Okay, so it comes from here. This Vayigash Yudah El Yosef, the Elav, Vayigash Yudah Elav, is this connection between Yehuda and Yosef. Okay, because they're both kings. All right, one is the Sfirah of Yesod, one is the Sfirah of Malchut, and they need to join together, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Shekhinah. So that's why we don't stop between Geula and Tefillah. Not to make a separation between the Yesod and the Shekhinah and the Malchut. We must reunite them. One is the light, Yosef is the light, Yehuda is the vessel. Okay, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the light, the Shekhinah is the vessel. וגם זה סוד שאין מפסיקים בין תפילה של ידה שהוא סוד הנוקבה לבין תפילה של ראש שהוא סוד זרמפין. And this is also the reason why we don't stop, make a separation between the tefillin of the hand, which is the nukva, which is the malchut, and the tefillin of the rosh, which is the zerampin. ובזה נפתח לנו ביור הכתוב, and this we can now understand what the scripture says, ויגש אליו יהודה, and Yehuda drew near to him. Yehuda who saw the nukva, the hainu tefillah, because Yehuda is the inner meaning of the Shekhinah, the hainu tefillah, that is prayer. Prayer comes from the soul, from within us. But Yosef who saw geula, and Yosef is the essence of the light of the redemption, as we said. That they drew one towards the other, lizivug, to relate to each other, to give light to each other, until the connection had become so complete that Yosef was not able to refrain, and he revealed to them his light. Okay? Very powerful. Now, I made myself some notes about where we're going to start again because right. Tachazu. Kadra kutshbechule la adam achnish afrei me'aba sitrin de olama vavad gramei ba'atad mikdashal tata vamshich alei nishmata dachaye mibei mikdasha le'ela. I'll do the next one as well, because the next one is what I really want to get involved with. V'nishmata ihi klila b'tzilat dargin, v'al tzilat shmahan inon lishmata, k'gavna dorazi ila, nefesh u'ruch neshama, nefesh hu akmuha, de'ihi tata al mikulo, urach ihi kiyuma, deshalt al nefesh, v'dargai ila alei, kaima alei b'kulo, k'dakachazi, neshama ihi kiyuma ila al kulo, V'shalt al kulo, daga kadisha ila al kulo. Right. Come and see. When the Holy Blessed One created man, he gathered the dust for him. He gathered his essence from the four corners of the world, and he made him in the place, he fashioned him in the place of the Beit Mikdash below, Shusod Nukva. So he made him in the aspect of the Malchut. והמשיך עליו נשמת חיים, and he drew to him the breath of life, מבית המקדש שלמעלה, from the holy temple above, from Bina. So how is he going to give him this life? It's got to go through Zerampin. We're going to discover that. V'nishmata hi klila. And this soul is made up of 3 levels. And therefore we have 3 names for the soul. Ke'en hasod elyon, okay, nefesh, ruach, neshama. We've got 3 levels. One is nefesh, one is ruach, and one is neshama. Nefesh is the lowest of them all, and it comes from the menukva, which is the lowest of the 10 sfirot, which is the malchut. Okay, all right. So that comes the malchut. David is the malchut. Yehuda, who is the ancestor of David, is the malchut. Ruach hu kiyum hasholet al nefesh. Ruach gives the nefesh life, and it governs the nefesh. Madriga shelemala mimenu, and it's a higher level from it. Nimshach min zerampin. Ruach comes from the zerampin. Lakayem ota b'kol, to give it life, to give it existence. Hein b'chochma v'hein b'chasadim, both in chochma and both in chasadim. So what would that be? It's going to be Yosef. All right, he's the level of ruach. Neshama kiyum elyon alakol, and neshama is the highest level of them all, which is the light of Bina, which is higher than the light of Zerampin and the light of the Nukva and the light of the Shekhinah, Shem Ruach v'Nefesh, and it governs them all. Madriga Kedosha elyon al kulam is the highest of them all. It's above Ruach and Nefesh. Okay, great. And these 3 levels, Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama, are included in human beings. We have within us the potential for Nefesh, for Ruach, and for Neshama. For those who merit to serve their master. First of all, he's got Nefesh, V'tikun Kadosh, and it's a holy rectification. Shitaknu ba b'nei adam, which human beings are rectified with. When a person comes to get purified on this level, then he's rectified to be crowned with ruach. And this is the higher level of holiness which is given to the soul, which gives the light to the man who merited it. And the last level, neshama, כיוון להסתלק בו בנפש רוח ועל ותקן בפרוחנה דמרי כדקאיות, כדין שהיה עלי נשמה, דרגי אילה קדישה ושלת על כולו. בגין להתעטרה בדרגי אילה קדישה, וכדין אי שלימה דכולו, שלים בכל סיטרין, למזכה בעולמה דעתי, והיא רחימה דקודש ברוך הוא, כמו שכתוב להנחיל אוהבי יש, מן אינון אוהבי, אילון אינון דנשמתה קדישה בהו. And since it got the nefesh and ruach, then he's rectified in the service of God as is fitting. So Yehuda and Yosef are together now. Then he can get neshama, Shimadrega, which is the highest level of all, the highest and holy level, which governs everything, which is Bina. In order to be crowned in this such high level, then he's complete on all sides, he's completely complete. And then he's able to merit the world to come. And he's the lover of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as it says, I will give to those who love me my treasure. Mi heima ohavai, those are neshama kadosh b'hem, those who have a holy soul. Okay, now we're going to skip Yud Chet. Now then, I was going to skip Yud Chet. Yes, that's the one I was going to cut. We're more or less done Yud Chet. Right, we've basically said this. I mean, the Zohar is kind of repeating itself. So, what we need to come to is Kaf Bet. Ta Hazi. Vayigash elav t'kruvata de olma ba'olma. Lit'achta da bada. Le'mevei kulochan. Now, you know what? We'll go back with this one bit. I just want to show you that something here. Without, you've got to have this sort of nefesh and ruach together. Okay? That's what he's saying. Bo'e, come and see. Hakol hay madrigot al madrigot. They are all levels on levels. Nefesh, ruach, neshama. They are madrigot al madrigot. Levels on levels, one above the other. Nefesh is the one that starts. It's the lowest level of all, as we've said. Then you've got ruach, which gives the light to nefesh and stands above her. And then you've got neshama, which is the madriga, which is over them all. Okay? What is nefesh? Zohi nefesh David. This is the soul of David. She nukva, which is the malchut. And it receives, this receives from the river, which is coming forth, which is the Zerampin. Now, do you remember in Pharaoh's dream, he dreamt of the river, yeah? And then there's these 7 cows, feasting by the river. Right, first the fat ones and then the thin ones. So what's the river? The river was Joseph. He dreamt of Yosef, okay? So the Zerampin is Yosef, that's the river. Ruach, Zer Ruach Omed Al Nefesh, this is the light which comes to the Nefesh. Ve'en kiyum lenefesh ela b'ruach. All right, so Yehuda really needed this meeting with Yosef because he can't receive his light all this time. And in fact, after the selling of Joseph, it says that Yehuda me'achiv, that Judah went down from his brothers because he's also lacking the light he needs because Yosef isn't there. Okay? So the Tiferet is the middle line, okay? And then you get Neshama. That was the bit I wanted to get to. Tahazi. Vigash elav t'kruvata de olma ba'olma. It achda da bada. Nueve kulo had. Begin di Yehuda ihu melech. V'Yosef melech. It karivu da bada. It achidu da bada. Come and see. Vayigash elav Yehuda. And Yehuda drew near to him. This is a meeting of a world with another world. What does it mean? What worlds are they? It's a meeting of the lower world, which is the Shekhinah, and the aspect of Nefesh, which is called Yehuda. L'olam Elyon, to the higher world, which is Yesod of Zerampin, which is the aspect of Ruach, which is called Yosef. So that they should all become one. Because Yehuda is the vessel for the light of Ruach. Like we just said, Nefesh needs Ruach. Okay, Nefesh is the vessel for the Ruach to come in. Okay, so we need, Yosef actually needs the Malchut. Okay, he certainly needs a vessel. He can't shine without a vessel. He thought he wanted Binyamin. Okay, but Yehuda here, the Zohar is actually saying that the more value is given to the world through the combination of Yosef and Yehuda. Okay? Because Yosef and Binyamin together just complete the Zerampin. But Yosef with Yehudah can bring the light to a lower level. They can bring it to the Malchut, and from the Malchut it can come to all the souls. All right, and that's why the meeting with Yosef and Yehudah is so crucial. So Yehudah was king and Yosef is a king. They come close to each other and they become one. Kaf Gimel. Ki hinei hamalachim noadu. Rabbi Yehudah patach. Rabbi Yehudah opened his discourse. Here we go. V'amar ki hinei hamalachim noadu. Da Yehudah v'Yosef. Begin to travayu malachim. V'tkarivu da bada. Litvakcha travayu b'kachada. Begin Yehudah itarev bei Binyamin. V'ya arev legabei. Da avoy bei. V'hai olma v'alma da'ati. V'adait kariv kamei Yosef. Litvakcha imei. Al iska de Binyamin. ולא מהווה בנדוי, בהי עולמה, ובעלמא דעתי. כמו שכתוב, אנוכי ערבנו מידי תבקשנו. אם לא הביתיו אליך והצגתיו לפניך וחטאתי להביא כל הימים, בהי עולמה ובעלמא דעתי. Rabbi Yehudah opened his discourse and he's actually looking at a verse from the Psalms. Okay. And the Psalms he's looking at, and let me just change the share, is now that one. Share. There we go. All right, you should be able to see a psalm there. Here we go. Ki hinei hamalachim no'adu, for behold, the kings assembled themselves. Avru yachtav, they came on together. Hema ra'u came tamahu, they saw, they were amazed. Nivhalu nechpazu, they were frightened, they hastened away. Ra'ada achazatam sham chilka yoleda, trembling took hold of them, pangs as of a woman in travail, giving birth. Okay, this is the one that the Zohar brings now. Now, if we go to share screen, go back to where we were. Right. This is Yehudah and Yosef. These two kings that the psalm is talking about is Yehudah and Yosef. Both of them were kings. And they drew close to each other to argue, both of them together. Who are they arguing over? Binyamin. Yosef says, I need Binyamin. Yehudah says, I will be instead of Binyamin. Binyamin needs to go back to his father. To be the Or Choser there, to be a vessel for his father. Why? Because Yehudah was guarantor for Binyamin. And he was guarantor to the father. He's promised the father. He promised to God. He says, if I don't bring him to you, then I've sinned against you, both in this world and in the next world. He said from you, I just said it in Hebrew, I didn't actually translate this bit here. Where is it? Yes, I will stand surety for him. From my hand you will seek him. And if I don't bring him to you and set him before you, then I've sinned to my father all these days, in this world and in the next world. Wow. That's a huge oath to swear. I suppose because also, what is Yehudah saying? He's really saying that he needs the light of the Yesod. Okay? So if anything happens to Binyamin and Yosef is still lost, then he's got no place anyhow either. Because the Malchut needs the Yesod in order to receive the light from Bina. Okay, because we said Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama. Bina is Neshama, Ruach is the Yesod, is the Zerampin, okay? And then Nefesh, and he's Nefesh. If he's going to get the light, he's got to get it through the Yesod. So in other words, he's saying, listen, I'll be guaranteed for him. But if I don't bring him back, then I'm also not going to survive this either. All right? So he's really absolutely saying that I need the light of the Yesod. Okay? And eventually, Yosef has to agree. Kaf Daled. Valda ki ne malachim noadu avu yachtav itregizu kachada, go annoyed with each other. Itregizu daba gine de Binyamin, who they're fighting over Binyamin. Ma ketiv heimara'u ken tamahu nifhalu nechbezu adah hazatam sham lekol inun dahavu taman. They went together. It means that they were working it out, okay? Working it out. Should it be Yehuda? Should it be Binyamin? Eventually, Yehuda prevails, okay? And the moment that Yehuda prevails, that's when Yosef reveals himself. Because now Yehuda's made himself a vessel. Okay, so they got annoyed with each other because of Binyamin, like they're not agreeing. All those present who were there were shaking with the fury, with the energies that were going on there. Kafhei. Begin the havut the halin la katla ut it katla. Kolo beginay the Binyamin. The ha Yosef is daban beginay Yehuda vit avid meavoy. V'ashte it aref be Binyamin v'tachil de lo it avad. Begin kach vigash elav Yehuda. All right, okay, Paul. Just a second. Let me just finish this bit, and you can ask a question. Okay. Chil. They were trembling like a woman giving birth because they were afraid either to kill or to be killed. And everything was on account of Binyamin. Because Yosef says he needs Binyamin so that his light can shine. Yehuda says, if you take away Binyamin, I'm completely lost. And so is my father. All right? Let me be instead of Binyamin. Because I'm the Malchut. I can also be a vessel for you. Yosef nimka b'atzat Yehuda, and Yosef was sold on the advice of Yehuda, v'ne'evad me'aviv, and was lost from his father. Va'ata, and now arev et Binyamin. He's got some of the vessel of Binyamin. V'amitrei shelo yevad, and he's afraid that he's not going to get lost. U'mishum ze nigash elav Yehuda. This is why Yehuda has to do this meeting with Yosef. Okay? Right. Now let me just do one more bit because it's just really beautiful, because when they meet together, it brings a tremendous tikkun. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Sod Emunakan. This is the inner meaning of the faith. Shanukva, the faith comes from the Malchut. When the light is revealed, the desire of Yehuda is revealed. When the desire of Yehuda is revealed, and the unification of the Zerampin and the Nukva, the Yosef and Yehuda came to be as one. Hit atar, they received the light. So both these worlds, Yosef and Yehuda, Zerampin and the Shekhinah, are now connected together. Noadim yachad zeh, they're now meeting together. Zerampin liftoch ha'otzar lashpia. Zerampin, in order to give the light, to open the treasure house and to give out the light. V'zeh nukva, and the Shekhinah, which is Yehuda, lilkot ulesof letocha, can now receive, to gather into her the light. So now this shlemut, this wholeness is revealed of the way that Yehuda and is the vessel for the light of Yosef. Okay, and then from Yehuda it comes to all the souls. For now the kings of Met changed Shnei Olamot, they are the two worlds, Olam Elyon shu Zerampin, Olam Atachton shu Nukva. The higher world, which is the Zerampin, and the lower world, which is the Nukva. So it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. And then it goes into discussion what this means for us also in the idea of kapara, that when we do tshuva, again, we get the light of tshuva in lots of different ways. The connection of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Shekhinah is a very, very important connection, and it comes from here. Okay, now, Tzipora wanted to ask a question earlier.
I have one question, and I want to recap. I want to make sure I've got the details right. But my big question after all the details is, did these brothers have any inkling of how profound their impact at this time was going to be later through the generations? Did they know it, or did they find it out? Or did we find out in retrospect, looking back at it?
It's a very good question, Tzipora. I mean, obviously, I'm not a fly on the wall there, so I don't know. But from my understanding of the stories of the forefathers, I think they did have consciousness. Yes, it was not. It was a conscious understanding. Yes, I think so. Their vessels were so pure and so high. I mean, we can't even imagine the purity of such incredible vessels. And I think that they did understand, know who they were and what they were doing, unless God deliberately hid it from them. But I think that they did know. I mean, I think that yes, they knew it, the way it's written in the Pshat is like a code, all right. But the underlying message they did know. Yeah, definitely. I think so. I mean, but I'm just, So
it seems like Yehuda, through his life, did things impulsively, not like, oh, if I do this, my future generations will do that. It seemed like he just did things and then he saw the results.
It looks like that on the surface, but I don't think if you read the Zohar, it's not the case. Remember that the prophecy, the decree that the children of Israel had to go down to Egypt was already from the time of Abraham, and they knew that was going to happen. And in fact, when Yehuda suggested the selling of Joseph into Egypt, the Shekhinah, it says in the Zohar that the Shekhinah was with them and agreed. Mm-hmm. So there you go.
Yedidah?
Yeah.
Well, I have a very, okay, please.
Okay, so who wants to say something? Lisa, do you want to say something first and then Nicole?
Well, I just wanted to say it's sort of related in a way, I think. Why didn't Yehuda and Yosef know this when they were, before Yosef was sold? Why was this? Apparently it was hidden from them. I mean, it seemed as though it was hidden. They certainly didn't act as though they were consciously conscious of this kind of relationship.
I don't know. I mean, it could have been that God hid it from them at that time. It certainly sounds as though they, yeah. But I think here, and this, if you read the Zohar, I mean, I think it's just phenomenal, because it makes all the different details, are just so beautiful. Of course, the issue is that Yehuda's done a tremendous amount of tshuva since the brothers have done tshuva. I mean, so maybe what Tzipora said is true, that that they at the time when Joseph was sold, the consciousness was not there. But in the meantime, they've had these 22 years of Joseph suffering, and 12 of those were in prison. And Yehuda, the remorse that the brothers felt, and you can see the tshuva that they did in the story. Every time something goes wrong, they say, "Oh my God, look, God has found out our sin." And you can see in the actions, they don't leave Binyamin alone. They don't let him, just manage on his own. They go back. They refuse to abandon him. There's a whole lot of tshuva has happened here. So the kli, I think that the question is probably that the vessel of Yehuda wasn't ready to receive the light of Yosef, and neither was Yosef fully functioning yet as the Zerampin at the time when they first met. Now, both of them have ripened. Yehuda's become the vessel he needed to be through the action of tshuva, and Yosef has become the channel he needs to be. So they've both, Yosef's been all this time been working on his connection with God all this time. So, his faith in God, his faith in God, his faith in God. There he was, stuck in prison, a slave, stuck in prison. What's going to happen to him? Is he ever going to get out? And to actually have that faith that, one day God will get him out of there. So I think that, they were both working on themselves to actualize who they were. And then when this meeting happened, then the full force of who they were could come through.
Was the threat of having his brothers relive his experience perhaps also a way of him saying, I want you to at least feel what it would be like so that you can also go through this process?
Oh, with Yosef with Binyamin.
Yes.
Yeah, that's more of the pshat. That you can see from the pshat, and that's also valid. There's many levels of looking at it. There's many levels of looking at it. I'm not saying this is right and that's wrong or anything like that. It's just presenting the ideas also from the Zohar. But I think there's many levels of this thing, of this story, definitely. Nicole wanted to ask something.
No, I wanted to just state that I was just thinking Joseph and Yehuda, they're both firstborn.
Ah.
They're both what?
No, Yehuda isn't a firstborn.
Oh, no, she's
Wasn't
not.
he?
No.
Oh, right. Sorry, forget it then.
Yehuda was Leah's fourth child, I think.
But they're both.
Reuven was her first child.
But
no, okay, so forget it. Okay.
No, Nicole, you've got something. Not firstborn, Mashiach. There's Mashiach ben David and Mashiach ben Yosef. Okay, so in fact, from both of them come a Mashiach. That was the connection. That's okay. So Mashiach ben David is, of course, David. All right, but you've also got Mashiach ben Yosef, which is Saul. All right, Saul, and eventually in the Mashiach ben Yosef. So actually, you have both of them are destined to provide a Mashiach. So there is a connection that way.
Could you mention about these two kings and things?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I think there was something what you were saying.
I wanted to ask about the different roles. Okay, Shekinah is our prayers, right? It comes is the essence of our prayers brings Shekinah. Is that what you said? Yeah. Okay. Benjamin was a kli, and Joseph was a light.
Yes.
And Yehuda was a light.
No, also a kli, also a vessel.
He was also a kli.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then when he came together with Joseph, they had a light and a kli, and that's what they needed to go forward.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you got it. Well done.
And Yehuda had no idea that Joseph was his brother at that when he approached him. And so he had to work through a lot of illusion just to make this connection that they were supposed to work together. The king in Egypt and him from Israel, from Canaan.
Well, I don't know. Did he know him? We didn't know him. I don't know. Like when you get to the personality level, there's so many explanations, so many ideas. Did he recognize him? Not recognize him? Certainly when they arrived in Egypt, no, they did not recognize Joseph. It says so specifically. They did not recognize him. But in the meantime, of course, quite a lot of things have happened. First of all, he invites them to, first he accuses them of being spies, then he invites them to dinner, all right, in his house, and he sits them all according to, age.
Birth order.
Yeah, birth order, so, and their money gets given back, and all sorts of weird things keep happening, all right? Now, so there's a lot of hints, and also he keeps asking about his fathers, he keeps asking about the fathers, he keeps asking about the brother. So there's a lot of things happening which are going to wake Yehuda up to realize he's not an ordinary, Egyptian clerk, working under Pharaoh. This is not something like that. This is something very different. Okay. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Yehuda hadn't realized by now that he was talking to Yosef, because at least in some part of himself, first of all, because of all the weird things he kept seeing, but also because Yosef was sold into Egypt. There was a very reasonable chance he would still be alive. So there was something there, but the real recognition, according to the text, is only when Joseph makes himself known. So there was different levels at which this was operating. So did Yehuda recognize Yosef? Not as Yosef, I agree with you, probably not. But there was
some realized there was some manipulation going on, that it wasn't logical, that it was an entrapment of some sort.
I wouldn't call it manipulation. I go with the Zohar. I think there was Yosef was working to bring through the desire of God, which was to make sure there was a vessel for his light to come forth so that the Shekhinah would be able to shine. Okay, so I don't consider that as a manipulation. I consider that as a working through. It's a positive thing, not
from Joseph's point of view. It wasn't working through, but from the things being implanted in their sacks, it seemed like something was going that wasn't quite kosher or something. They kept getting in trouble for things they didn't do.
Well,
sort of.
Well, they had sold him into Egypt, so they had done something. It's not that they got into trouble for things they hadn't done. You can look at it, like I say, on very many different levels. It's a very beautiful, incredible story. You can look at it at the pshat. You can look at it at the emotional level, but you can also look at it at the level of the, vessels and the lights, which is what we did today. There's many ways to look at it. It's not just one level. Okay, great. All right, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All
And
right,
Shabbat Shalom to everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Yedidah.
You're welcome. Take care.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Bye.
Bye, love.